Right, so back to the game. I think that's the end of the turn, so we go down to the end turn button, click end turn, let the AI do its thing, and there's the sit rep, so nothing to report, so nothing of any major significance has occurred. So we now got to start full operations and start trying to find the enemy where they are located, because if we look at the intelligence officer, there are currently 12 cadres deployed inside Southwest Africa. So somewhere in sector 1 and 2 and 3 there are 12 insurgent units currently on their way to the objectives, whether it's to lay mines or to intimidate the villages. What's the important point to bear in mind is that sector 1-0 and sector 2-0 are the most important in the early stages of the game. The enemy only really starts to strike targets in sector 3-0 if their aggression level, which is displayed on this graph, starts to get into the higher sort of 70s. So your real focus in the beginning of the game is to try and track these guys in sector 1 and 2. You'll also notice there are farms. These farms are only situated in sector 3 or 3-0, and if the swiper cadres actually do attack the farms, then you really are going to be in trouble, because your hearts and minds is going to drop dramatically, as the South Africans back home aren't going to accept that situation. You'll notice up top here your 2 air support units over here are now available because they've been a turn and they've been refreshed, so you can call them. So maybe we start with that. So if we click over here and we go to our Special Forces operator, let's call in a air recon to recon an area to see if we can find another enemy base somewhere. So let's move these guys first of all. No, actually no, let's just call the recon in.
Recon requested, over.
It shows you where you can place the recon. It's got to be within the circle. You'll see now, click there.
Searching the area, over.
There comes the aircraft.
Enemy sighted, over.
Right, so the aircraft has now sighted some enemy on this side. So that's a truck. So that's important, because that truck can tell you 2 things. One, it's probably carrying a SWAPO cadre. So what you can do is you can track that truck with the Special Forces unit, because then it'll show you where the base is eventually, because there might be another base around here somewhere. So let's move this Special Forces unit a bit closer, and let's call an airstrike onto that truck. So we click on the Special Forces unit, we call the airstrike button,
airstrike, over.
and then we click on the truck, and you'll see at the bottom it gives you the odds 87% of success, and there comes the airstrike. And there we go, we destroyed it. Fantastic. So that's a good result, and you'll see there's the wreck, and that's a good start. But we now know also somewhere here there's going to be a base, because that truck was heading somewhere. So that's a pretty good, effective use of Special Forces early on. Now, with regards to this enemy base that we have now discovered, we want to destroy the base, and the way to destroy a base is to send some heavy sort of mechanized armor or units into that area, and the mechanism you use is called a battle group. So let's go into the HQ of sector 10, and you'll see here we have a button for form a new battle group. So we click on that, and here we can see once again we can select a number of units that we would like to put, up to 4. Here's the 4 slots that we can put into this, and I think we only really need 2. We need an infantry unit.
Battle group formed up, over.
And I think we need a Rattle, which is an infantry fighting vehicle, which we can take with us. And maybe we'll take some artillery as well. And you can see here's the battle group formed up now, and there's the 3 that are in this unit. If I exit, before I get there, the command unit is this command Rattle, which actually represents the battle group. That's what will be moving, and effectively a battle group is nothing more than a mobile base. So I'll show you in a minute where it moves, and then it deploys as a base and operates as a base, but inside Angola. If I exit the base here, and I now go to my personnel officer, you'll notice there's quite a few things going on here. These units here are under the mobile control. These are particular types of units like battle groups and special forces that can operate cross-sector, and you got 8 of them. In sector 10, we already have 3 units in the sector. We allowed another 5. In sector 20, we have 3, and in sector 30, we only have 1 unit. So there's quite a lot of scope if we want to expand in that sector. Here's the operational battle group that we've just formed, and here's the UNITA forces in our organogram. So this gives you a good idea of what unit mix you've got in each sector. Don't confuse sectors with bases. Bases are where units can be parked and deployed. Sectors are the total area on the map wherein you can have a number of bases. Right, so let's move on. Let's go to the camera. Let's go have a look at sector 10 and let's see what's going on here. So here we've got our infantry that's on its way to that village. Let's do that. So click on the infantry, put him to the village.
No swapper activity in the area. Over.
Tells us no swap activity, but it also does tell us that this particular village is requesting medical assistance. So we're going to have to give it medical assistance, and we're not going to do it with a clinic, so I think we're going to probably do it with ambulances. So what we do is we click on the base, we recruit a new unit, we go to support, and we bring in an ambulance unit. You'll now see there is an ambulance unit. You cannot deploy it this turn, but it's carrying 4 medical supplies, and in the next turn we'll proceed to take it to the village to take care of that medical request. Right, where are we? Right, so we've got the buffle here, and now this buffle is sitting there and it's empty and it's not doing anything. We can send it back to base, and you can just click on return to sector base, and this will just automatically return it to that base. You go into the base, there it is. Now what you can do is you can refuel it by clicking this guy, or you can click them individually. I just do this guy, and it just makes sure every vehicle unit is supplied to its maximum. You will notice that these vehicles here, their repair is not optimum. They're not at 100%, same as this one here. In order to get a vehicle 100% repaired, you've got to have a workshop unit in a base. So on that point, it would be a good time just to reiterate the difference between sectors and bases. If you look at this base, it's the HQ in sector 10. There are 4 slots and they are all full. So if I try and recruit another unit, I'm going to have bases full. But if I go out the base and I look at the organogram, you will see the sector is not full. The sector can take 8 slots, but the base can only take 4 at one time. So if I want to recruit more units right now into sector 10, I'm going to have to empty a base slot. So if I go back to sector 10, and the only vehicle that can leave the base is this one. So this is a Casper, great for detecting tracks. So let's have a look. I'm going to take this Casper out, and because there's a concentration of villages here, I'm going to patrol this area and hopefully pick up some tracks. But I'm going to head towards this village because it's got smoke coming out of it, which denotes that there's intelligence to be had. So let's move the vehicle. Right, so no tracks have been detected, so that's fine. If I go back into the base, you'll see now 1 slot is available, which will now enable me to actually recruit a new unit. So if I want to recruit a technical repair workshop unit, I go to these guys here, there's 3 of them, and I bring him into the base. And you'll see now he comes into the base, and now I have a workshop unit in the base, which enables me to repair units to full capacity. So I can now, any vehicle that's in disrepair below, well, any disrepair will automatically be repaired fully to 100%, and using a lot less spares as well. But because there's no spares in the base, I won't be able to do it right now. Which brings me to the point of bringing supply and resources into the base. So let's have a look at that. So whenever I want to bring new supplies or resources into the base, I go to my supply officer. And I click on there. And here I have at my disposal 5 trucks. And they are all coming from the red tab. So these guys can cross sectors, they can cross into Angola, they're very useful for taking supplies. They cannot carry troops, but they can carry supplies. So if I want to send some spares to section 10 base, I click on the spares, which brings me 4. While I'm going up there, I might as well take some fuel and some more rations. And if I now click on that button, it'll send that supply truck now to base sector 10. You'll see there it goes. Right, and when it reaches the base, then we can unload. For example, I can go back, and now if I want to send some supplies, I'm looking at my supplies here and very low in sector 10, but if I look, maybe it's a good time just to start running supplies. So let's get some more fuel and let's get some more rations to base in sector 20. So let's go, we can go food, we can go fuel, and let's go medicine supplies, and let's click on there, and you'll see this truck will then head on its way now to sector 20. So this is how you bring supplies into the game. It costs you money every time you spend it, and speaking of which, we need to watch our political points because we are burning them up And we need some military successes now in order to get our political points or the will of the people behind us again up. Right, so let's keep moving on. So we need to just stop spending at this point because we're going to get into trouble. So we really want to just use the resources we have without doing much more recruitment or any major infrastructural builds until we have some kind of military success. So let's go have a look at the base in Sector 20. So here we have a truck, and let's go out and let's see what we can do with that. There's not much we can do with that. This particular vehicle here is where we want to build a clinic. So if we move there and let's just click on the clinic, that's a really good spot. In fact, if we go one more to the right, we can get all 4 of these. So let's click there, let's go like that, and let's try again, clinic. Now we're getting all 4 of these, which is an excellent site for a clinic. So we build the clinic. You'll notice now when you mouse over these villages, the actual clinic icon at the bottom is highlighted, indicating to you that at the moment it does have coverage. If we go to the medical officer, you can see that we now have 1 clinic that is operational with 4 medicine supply units in there. We currently have 2 medical cases that are new in the last turn. We have 2 that are current, and we have nothing that's critical at the moment. So what's going to happen in the next turn is this clinic is going to automatically dispense medicine to this unit here, to this village here, which will then earn us some political points as well as some hearts and minds, an increase in the hearts and minds. So a very, very the perfect place to put a clinic when you get at least 3, but 4 really is an exceptional placement. Now this unit has finished moving its turn. Let's move on and see what else we've got in the base. We've got the truck. The truck is loaded with fuel, and it's got a UN and ration supply. So I think maybe we take the truck and we move it to, let's make it this village, and we can drop off the UN aid. So let's get out there, let's deploy the truck, and let's send it to the base. You'll notice these are road vehicles, not very good off-road. So they move very slowly off-road, but on road they move vast distances. The reason why I'm taking fuel on this truck is because a truck that is carrying fuel can refuel itself, which is very important to know. So a truck like this can go long distance if it has to by refueling itself. To refuel itself, you would just click on the refuel button and it would take from the cargo and refuel the truck. So very important, vehicles carrying fuel can refuel themselves. Right, so let's right click and get out of that, and then let's see what else we can do. Let's go down to Sector 30 and see what's going on there. Right, we've got a helicopter there and we've got a truck. So let's have a look. If we look at the villages here, they all seem to be pretty much okay. No medical supplies needed. Let's take a truck and let's load this truck up with food. And if we do 4, we get to UN aid, and then we'll do 2 loads of UN aid. And then we select it, and you can see how far this truck can move now. Let's send it to this village because it's traveling by road. And when it reaches the village now, we can actually go here and we can drop the UN aid off. And what you'll see is that you've now got a pile of UN aid next to this village. And every turn, it's going to use 1 of those, and it's going to lose up to 4. When you mouse over the village, you see at the bottom, you get a blue 4 indicating 4 turns worth of supplies there. Every time one of these gets chomped up, the hearts and minds in that village increases. So very important to remember as part of the humanitarian strategy. Right, I think I'm going to end this particular tutorial on that note. If we click back out into the strategy map, you can really get an overview, and you can start seeing how things are starting to develop over the map and why you need the strategic map, because it gives you an overall view of what's going on in the world. So we'll continue with the game in the next tutorial.